Welcome to another CEO Wisdom Pod. We have Craig Staddon with us. He is CEO at Plumpton Racecourse, a business that I am not familiar with, so I'm intrigued by that. It's basically horse racing. Been once to Argentina, and we watched these horse race by. It was really impressive, the noise, the ambiance, and just seeing these bulky creatures run at, what would that be, like 40, 60 kilometers an hour. Was quite impressive. And Craig is doing that in Ascot, England. And I would have a bunch of questions for him today, so I'm quite intrigued. This podcast is brought to you by podbuyer.com. If you want to start, scale, be invited to a podcast like this one, even find sponsors. Podcasts are the way to connect with people, grow your network, get leads, get clients, get insights. It's quite amazing. Podcast agency, mine is called podbuyer.com. If you want to start, scale, be invited to podcast. Craig, welcome to the pod. Can you tell me a bit more about yourself and a bit more about Plumpton?
Yeah, absolutely. A bit of background. I've been in racing for over 20 years. I've worked at two of the biggest race courses in the UK, if not the world. One being Cheltenham Racecourse, which is very much a jumps race course, and people would actually probably hear about the festival, the 4 days in March. And I also worked at Ascot for 10 years, of which Ascot is well renowned as a flat, as well as jump, but predominantly flat course, and in particular the Royal Meeting that happens in June. So now I'm CEO of Plumpton Racecourse. So it's a bit of a change, from big, class one race courses into what's really known as a grassroots race course. And Plumpton is great in as much as we've just rebranded ourselves as half of the community. We're not here to say that we're going to conquer the world, but what we want to do is make our race course the best it possibly can, but also the best market leader within the East Sussex region in terms of events or stadia. And you mentioned the beginning, race course. We are a race course. We race 17 days, but actually we don't race for 350 odd other days. And so, our race course is more than just racing. It's events, both from a corporate perspective and a consumer perspective. So we like to see ourselves as a holistic arena, whereby people can come and utilize the race course for watching racing, of course, for 17 days, but also bringing friends, family, corporates along as well. So it's an interesting role. We have a team of 10. So it's a very small team that pretty much pushes nearly 40,000 visitors a year, which is pretty impressive. And we are very much intertwined with the community, with all our key stakeholder groups, whether that would be from our sponsors to our members, through to our corporates. So it's fun. It's exciting. There's a bit of a blank canvas, so we can, as a business, be a little bit more agile. We're actually owned by two people, Adrian Pratt and Peter Saville, and they are very good in terms of being able to let us run the race course as we want and just keep on feeding back into them. So it's a little gem, I'd like to say. It's a little gem. It's on its way to grow, and we're building a team to allow us to grow as well.
So you said 30 to 40,000 tickets sold per year? That's quite impressive.
30 to 40,000 people. So in terms of racing, that's the majority of people that come. But actually outside of racing, we have events, weddings, parties, fireworks. We have proms from schools, you name it, we can pretty much put it on. So we have 30 to 40,000 people that come through our gate, whether it be racing or whether it be events. So we are very proud of that. It's a big number, and it's a hugely important part of the tapestry of the area. We bring in jobs, revenue, through all of those sorts of different levers.
Let's decorticate that. Okay, so the the tickets sold, how much would you say that you sell tickets per year, and how many memberships as well?
Okay, so in terms of tickets, We have 17 days. We have 6 which are really big key race days, which average probably 3.5 to 5 or 6,000 people.
Wow.
And then we have a smaller race days. So the way that we actually set up our season is we predominantly race during the week, and then we have 6 race meetings that actually are on a Sunday or a bank holiday Monday. So that's kind of the fabric of what the racecourse do. In terms of membership, our membership's circa about 400. It's quite a small number, but it's one of those that will grow. We're quite a small racecourse. So as a result, we're not going to have thousands and thousands and thousands. So when you put it into context, it's quite small. When I worked at Cheltenham, for example, we had circa nearly 9,000 members, which is the biggest horse racing membership in the world, funny enough. So you can see it from Plumpton being 400, Cheltenham being circa 9,000. So we're proud of the 400. We're growing year on year. We're growing, which is important.
Right, and it's 200 pounds per membership times 400. So yeah, that's still 80K per year. So I mean, it's not too shabby. And for the events themselves, how much people pay to attend one event? Are we talking about 50 pounds here?
If you break it up in terms of racing and events, so in terms of racing, if they come and they were to come and purchase a ticket, it ranges from £14 up to £25. If they wanted to actually come and do some hospitality, which is fantastic value, that ranges from in the region of £70 up to £150. The one thing I would say in terms of racing, what we're proud of, as well as the events piece, is that we can bespoke our packages. So yes, we build a package that kind of outlines this is what's included, but we can add things, we can take things away. So from a racing perspective, that's the sort of price range. In terms of events, events it's a horses for courses piece. Not everybody's event is the same. So what we do have is we have a site. Within the site, we therefore can actually ask people, what do they want within this site? So they might want to bring some entertainment. They might want to bring some music. They might want to put on, a fun fair. They may want to put a marquee up, etc., etc. So what we want to do is understand their needs to therefore understand how we can build the best sort of package for them. Rather than saying, this is what we've got, like it or lump it, what we're saying is, what do you want? What do you want? What do you want to see? And we'll go away and put it together. So again, it's the uniqueness of a small racecourse like Plumpton that can be agile. And I think agile nowadays is key because, as you know, cost of living is going up. People's disposable income is being a little bit more challenged. And so rather than assume that they're going to buy it, we need to therefore really work with them and provide the best possible product to package.
Right. So let's say that you probably gross around 1 million for the ticket sales on a yearly basis, £1 million. And you make additional sales with the food. What are the additional sales once a person is on site enjoying themselves? How can you upsell them?
Okay, so you've got your basics such as food and beverage, but then you've got your race cards. Then you've also got packages that you can build out, such as a pie and a pint. You can therefore do some money can't buy, take them into a parade ring, take them down to the last fence, take them on a tour around the actual race course and give them the history. Get them to be able to talk to a jockey or a former jockey that could basically be with them throughout the whole day. So again, it's a list. It really is. It's endless, I'll be honest with you. You can pretty much upsell anything that you want to. But you've also got to be a little bit circumspect in terms of if you have too much, it's kind of difficult for people to understand because you've got to remember, we understand our product. A lot of people don't understand the product we're selling. What they're doing is they're coming to a race meeting because it's entertainment. They're seeing the fact that they can bring their children for free. Under 18s going for free in racing. And they can go to meet a dinosaur, they can go on a fair, or they can have an ice cream. But what they're watching is these amazing animals, but they don't know how to bet. So all of these things we've got to take into consideration and kind of keep it as simple as possible. But once we start talking to our customers and understanding our customers, we're able therefore to layer those upsells in because they become more confident in what our product is.
Right. And the betting part, tell me a bit more about that one.
Okay, so betting, betting can be as easy or as complicated as you want it to be. Actually, it looks quite complicated because if you have a horse race with 10 horses, you have odds, which you're probably aware when you went to Argentina. Now, you need to understand what those odds mean. So, you have funny odds. You have an odd like 2 to 1, whereby if you put £1 on, you get £2 back. But then you have odds that are like 4 to 7, 4 to 7. So you've got to put £7 on to get £4 back. Now I'm talking about it in a way that I know it. But actually, if you had somebody who'd never been racing before and they saw these odds, actually they're quite confusing. So what we try and do is we try and put a sort of a jargon buster around the site. We try and talk to our bookmakers so that, if somebody comes up and asks them to explain what's those odds, they can explain what those odds are. We work with an on-course a bookmaker called the Tote, which we work very closely with, and they're able to inform customers as well. So, betting can be as complicated or as easy. If you look at the odds, sometimes it's quite scary, but what we try and do is break those barriers down. If we can actually give them a jargon busting sheet, or we can get the actual bookmaker to talk to them, then hopefully it makes it a lot easier. And we're not asking people to put huge bets on. They can put £2 on as in a win, or they can put £2 each way, which means that you can have a win and a place. So, we could sit here for probably half an hour and talk through betting and still walk out the door being a little bit lost or a little bit confused. There's lots and lots of different things you can do. We want to try and make it as simple as possible.
Yeah, me, I want to take it from the business owner's perspective / the CEO. Like, how do you make money on betting? Do you take a cut, or do you take like opposite bets? Like, how do you make your money off that?
No, we work with betting organisations, and therefore there's a commission that we get. We also putting betting to one side. We also get media rights. So you'll probably know from where you are. If you showed football and it's televised, they're media rights, and therefore you get a certain amount through media rights. So the way that racing is set up, so what I've got to look at is let's maximise our betting. So if we can have as many betting terminals open, whereby there's less queues, it means that people can go in there and we can turn that queue much quicker. More people bet, the more money we get through a commission. In terms of media rights, we show pictures, therefore we get a chunk through media rights. We get a chunk through our own on sales, such as our ticketing, our hospitality, and sponsorship and membership. And we also make money through the events as well. So, it's if you look at it in terms of verticals, it's fairly straightforward, but you just got to look at the areas to maximize or best maximize those areas that you can control in some respects.
Have you seen some people lost it all through betting and getting ruined by an idiotic bet?
Yes, and there's stuff in that's going on in the moment in government, which is about controlling people's betting habits and how much they bet. So that's going through. That's kind of in discussion at the moment. So we've had people. My days at Cheltenham is a good example. Somebody's put out £15,000 in cash and just pass it to a bookmaker on the nose. What I mean on the nose is to win. Okay, £15,000 on a 6-1. So £15,000 times by 6. That's what the winnings would be. People putting out 10,000. You have betting accounts which are worth hundreds of thousands of pounds. So it's big business. It's billion pound business. So, but there is obviously at the moment a lot of conversation about controlling how much you bet and doing some affordability checks. Making sure that people actually can afford to do it. When you say people lost their life savings, yeah, it's gambling, isn't it?
Yeah, just a quick background check. What's their net worth? I mean, if they're a billionaire, that can be fun money for a billionaire. Just make a bet, have fun, have a drink, have a cigar, watch the horse, and even laugh when you lose that money. And that can be fun. But like, if you're this average bloke that is working for 6 months and going on the track, you got drunk and you arrived there and you have the serotonin going, and like pretty much bring you back to the square one. So yeah, I guess people need to be careful about that. I'm also looking at the advertising section. How is advertising a big source of revenue? Do you guys televise the events? Like, if I would be showcased as a sponsor, what would I gain from that?
Yeah, as I said again, with sponsorship is a vertical. So, and media rights link into that. So we work with Sky Racing, and which is at the races. So, that's broadcast every one of our race days, and races are broadcast throughout the races. So advertising, we have advertising on course. So I look at it in two ways. You've got in venue and off venue. In venue is very much you walk in there and you see everything that's set up. And anybody that's broadcasting, for example, you're able to see it as well. Off venue is saying, okay, those that sit behind a TV and watch it, those that go on to, iPhones or apps and see it, but also those people that aren't watching the racing at that time, how can we therefore communicate to them to keep them abreast of what's going on at Plumpton? So we've got in venue and off venue. With regards to how much we generate, that's an area that we're looking at improving. I'll be honest with you, it's definitely an area that we can improve. But at the moment, it's doing well, but we can do it better. And from my perspective as CEO, I've looked at restructuring the sponsorship and partnership element. So we've now got a partner level, which they pay more and they get more for what they pay for. And then you've got a sponsor level, and they pay a lot less, but they get a lot less for what they want. So over time, we will probably build a pyramid out that has a partner, a supplier, and a sponsor level. But that will take some time. So to answer your question, that's how we look at the advertising piece.
And how much should I pay to get showcased on the race day?
If you were to take one race, so within one race, you have your name on the race, it's broadcast throughout the races. You get some tickets to bring some friends and family. You go into the parade ring, you present the prize. You can get your logo up onto our big screen. You can do a little video. You're in the race card. You're in the racing post, as in racing papers. It'll cost you a minimum of £1,000 plus VAT. So all of the people that will be there on the day will be able to see it, but you've also got the off venue piece as well. And one race, for example, could be shown to 30, 40,000 people. Minimum of £1,000. Now, a partner level goes up to anywhere in the region of 30 to 40,000 pounds. Now, that doesn't sound a lot, but actually we're quite a small race course, and we've got to start building these blocks, putting them in properly. So, if you were to sponsor every single race and have partners, you're looking at probably in the region of £250,000 potentially, but that could go up. That could go up higher.
Right. Finally, the hospitality part. Restaurants are notorious for not making money, but here I think it's a different story right there. People go to the race and then they have a nice meal. You have nice packages. They look really delicious. I'm on the website here. How much customers does the restaurant get, and what's your strategy to actually make good margins on that side of the business?
Yeah, so it's a really good point. At the end of the day, we want to make sure, first and foremost, we look at retention. Okay, so we've got to put a price point in that we're comfortable that customers are going to actually A, see as value, and B, will come back. So what we do find in hospitality is our retention level is really good, really strong, but it's very much angled towards the consumer rather than the corporate. So our strategy at the moment is to retain our existing customers, which is our consumer, and make sure that we get them to come back, come to multiple days. And what we are doing, we're changing our pricing matrix because the value for money is really good. I believe it's too good. And I believe if we really back ourselves, these people will continue to come back if we increase by circa 10% plus. Okay. We have a strategy in terms of the corporate world because we are very close to likes of Brighton and Worthing and Crawley and the bottom half of the M25. We have a train station literally on our doorstep. You get off the train station, you're at our racecourse that comes from London, Victoria. So one of the areas that we are looking at actually working hard and smart on is creating a package for corporates whereby they can bring their guests prior to gates opening. They can therefore do presentation, networking, which they're obviously able to claim back through tax, and then they can entertain during the day within the box. So we've built a package. We're looking at actually creating that, but we need to we're building a strategy that is going to enable us to communicate to the corporate world. So we have great value. We have great premises. It's a great location. It really is. It's quite easy to get to. Some people think it's not, but it is. And we're looking at building the consumer piece as in retention, but the corporate piece, we're looking at really trying to push that to get new business.
How much maintenance costs do you guys have per year? Because it looks like a somewhat big facility. There's the buildings, there's yeah, the places for the horses. So is it fair to say that your cost is at least like 60-70% of your revenues per
No,
year?
I wouldn't say that. And the thing is, you're looking at it as a site. It's actually quite a small site compared to other race courses. So I would say the one thing that we've got to look at is mandatorizing what we need to change on the site and what we don't need to change on the site, because it can be quite an easy hole just putting cash in, constantly just spending cash to make things look good or better. So my philosophy is to say, okay, what do we need to make sure that we do? And we need to do that because if we don't, then a building might fall down, etc. So we mandatorise what's important. We have a capex plan. So we have a capex for the next 5 years of what we want to do and how much we want to spend and spend on what. So a good example is we're looking at putting solar panels in because electricity costs are going up. So if we put solar in, we can therefore utilise the solar and sell something back into the grid. So that's a capex play. We've also got, to look after our general maintenance of the site. But as I said at the beginning, the key thing is what's important, what's not important. We're a race course, so if we can't put the racing on, we can't therefore deliver our product. So we need to make sure that our number one is what's important for racing. Box that off.
Right. So what are your objectives this year? What do you want to focus on to grow the business?
We've got well, one of the things that we focused on is recreate ourselves to actually get people more understanding of Plumpton, because a lot of people aren't aware of Plumpton. So first strategy was create this part of the community whereby we are actively going out and talking to people and making them aware that we have a race course, but actually we do 17 days and we also do events. So that's one of our first objectives. The second objective really is to actually make sure that we deliver the customer experience at the very highest level. So when we send stuff out through to them coming to the course, from them leaving, and the after sell and the aftercare is as good as it possibly can be. And the third one is really to make sure that our site is as good and as clean as it possibly can be, and allows our customers that real great freedom of being able to do what they want to do when they're here.
Right. And talking about innovation, what do you think you could do, and what's the future of the horse racing industry?
Okay, there's two questions there. Innovation, we are looking at innovation at the moment. We're looking at improving wayfinding so that we put it onto digital screens rather than old traditional way boards. We're looking at bringing Amazon Alexa into our boxes so that gives them information about Plumpton. They're able to make easy ordering through concessions. In terms of technology on the track, we're looking at improving our water supply by building another reservoir potentially, so therefore we can pull that and store it, and also collect grey water. So that's some of the actual technological things we're doing, and we're also, just on that point, we're also bringing in a new ticketing system which will enable us to collect more data and be able to communicate more effectively, both pre and post race days as well. So that's the first thing. The second question you mentioned was about horse racing. Well, horse racing is quite challenging at the moment because we need to receive funding to be able to drive the business forward. To do that, we need to get more customers. We need to get better media rights. We need to put more money back into what's known as the levy. So therefore, we need more people to bet. So as a result, there's quite a change in the marketplace with potentially what's going to happen. And I could sit here today and say, I don't know. I really don't know. The regulatory authorities know that there is something that we've got to do, and we're looking at what we need to do and what that looks like. But I can't really say much more because at the end of the day, it's one of those things that's always ongoing. So there are some changes ahead, and those changes I think will be challenging for everybody, more so the smaller race courses. And we'll probably see. It's probably worthwhile us picking up in 12 months' time and asking the same question and seeing where we are on that dial.
There you go. Let's do that. Until then, where can people find out more about you, Craig?
About me is they can go onto our website, they can go onto LinkedIn, they can pick up the phone, they can drop me an email, all those sorts of easy ways of communicating. But I think probably the easiest thing is LinkedIn. Go into LinkedIn. They want to have a chat. They want to catch up. That would be the easiest thing I would say. And my door's always open.
There you go. So on LinkedIn, it's Craig Staddon with 2 Ds and plumptonracecourse.co.uk. I am Charles Cormier, your host of CEO Wisdom Podcast.com. If you want to start scale, be invited to a podcast that would be podbuyer.com. That was Craig Staddon.